Amen.
Okay. Hi guys, welcome to Fast Small Business Podcast. Today we have our guest Inbal, Cluadio. She's going to speak on abundant mindsets with us. So, how did you start to become where you are today?
So first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to finally record with you. Um, I have always had an entrepreneurial drive. Even when I worked for other people, I always thought about ways to make their company better. And sometimes it was well received and sometimes it was not. And I just quickly realized I need to start my own company one day. And
Yeah.
I got into real estate. I started my own brokerage company about 10 years ago, which I just recently stopped doing. And 7 years ago, I started a candle company. So I did that for a long time. I was doing lots of farmers markets, kind of like what you're doing now. And I did that I still have my candle company, but when my daughter was born, I couldn't do shows anymore. I had to pivot to more virtual and an online space, and I had no entrepreneur friends. I didn't know who to ask. I didn't have a lot of resources to pay for coaches and masterminds. And I realized that there was nothing out there for free that could really help me find some entrepreneur friends. So that's where I got the idea to create Like Minded Collective, and just wanted to make a free space for the millions of women who were entrepreneurs, either just starting out or wanting to start a business, and a place for friendship to come first and business to come second. So that's where I am today. My company is called Like Minded Collective, and we've been around for under 2 years. It'll be 2 years in February.
I love that. Yeah, I really
Thank
love
you.
what you're doing and the community you're building because I love community, and that's mostly a big thing about my podcast and why I wanted to start it so I could have a lot of people on the way. That way I could look back and be like, oh, I remember her. She helped me with X, Y, and Z. And it's really cool because I've built a good community and I'm super happy that you're one of those people.
I'm so happy too. I love what you've built. And it's all because you're inviting those people into your world, right? You're making those connections. You're putting yourself out there to bring people onto your podcast, and you're connecting with people at your events. So I love that because a lot of people don't have that naturally ingrained and they miss out on so much opportunity. So I love that you're doing that.
Thank you. So, what exactly is an abundant mindset?
So I've thought a lot about this. And for me, having an abundant mindset means that there's plenty to go around. I know that I have all the tools that I need in this moment to succeed. So that's what that means to me.
So, would you say that to different people, an abundant mindset is different?
I think it just depends on what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve in this very moment. When I was starting out, there's so many women communities out there. There's so many social networking platforms. But I knew that there are so many women who were not a part of those or were a part of those and still looking for something else. If I would have thought, oh, there's so many, even with my candle company, if I thought, oh, there's
Yeah.
like hundreds, if not thousands of candle companies out there, why would I start one? Then I would have never done that. So I think for people, it's different because some people think of an abundant mindset as far as personal. Some people think of it as far as business. So I think it just depends on what your goals are.
Yeah. So, how does an abundant mindset help a small business?
So I think kind of what I was just saying before, where it made me start mine. However, it made me also think like, okay, what can I do a little differently to stand out? So my candles, the wax I infuse with real gold. So when it
Oh,
melts, it
wow.
shimmers really beautifully. And it's the only candle company out there like that. So I got a trademark for that. And I realized, it doesn't matter if there's so many candle companies out there. I'm going to start mine anyways and see how it goes. And so I did really well. And same thing with the social networking platform with Like Minded Collective. I could have just said, like, it's fine. Like, there's so many out there. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to join a few. But the women who are now a part of Like Minded Collective and have gotten so much out of it would have missed out on all of that if I didn't do it. So I think knowing in my heart that, yes, there are so many, but the world needs something else,
Yeah.
um, is beneficial, not just for me and my business, but also for the other people that are enjoying what I'm creating.
Yeah. I really agree with that too because I know a lot of people, like when I go to markets, there's always like two or three that do the same thing as me. And because it's a very common business, like the one I do, but not for my age. But I think I make it different because I am not like the same age as everybody. So I add like a younger audience type interaction and really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And just you as a person are different,
Yeah,
So the people that you're going to attract are going to be different than the people who the other, founders are going to attract. So
yeah,
it should never stop you from doing something, even though there's other people that are doing it, because there's billions of people in this world
yeah,
and not all of them are buying from those small businesses.
yeah. So how do you constantly be in an abundant mindset?
I think it's really hard as an entrepreneur to do that.
Yeah,
But for me, I like to think back to the people that I have affected and the positivity that comes my way. So for me, I have an email folder that I just like put all my awesome emails that I get from people in there. And I take screenshots of testimonials that I've had. And I just remember, to go in there and look in there because as entrepreneurs, it's so hard to run a thriving business,
yeah,
and we go through highs and lows just in general. So I think it's hard, but for me, what I do is I really try to look back at the impact that I've made and try to push forward that way and just realize like I can do this. There's room for me in this business. What I do sometimes too is if I'm getting into like imposter syndrome or like a lacking mindset, I stop following the people that pull me in that direction. So maybe other
yeah,
communities that have more followers. I'm like, I can't look at that right now. I need to focus on what I'm doing. And I really just kind of like blinders on and I just move forward.
yeah. So would you say that one, well, is the benefit of having an abundant mindset?
I think you don't quit. You
Yeah,
know that there's plenty to go around and it just makes you keep going. Um, I also think that it puts you in rooms that you would not normally be in. So you're connecting with people that you would not normally be connected to, which I think is just a benefit in general. So it's always good to think like, okay, I am worthy. My business is worthy. What I'm putting out there is amazing. And I'm going to talk about it because I'm the best, and having that mindset and moving forward, that means you can meet people that you've never met before. You can go to events that you've never thought that you could go to. I'm an introvert, like just naturally. So for me, going to events is really nerve-wracking. But once I start to talk to somebody and they're like, oh my gosh, what you do is so cool. Like, I want to join your platform. I want to join your community. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So it makes me
yeah,
want to do that more. So I think it just opens up so many doors for you.
yeah. Honestly, I would never have thought that.
Yeah, I just, I've learned how to approach people in a way that feels comfortable for me. So if I go to an event, I'm usually the one asking questions. So like the pressure is not on me. So I always
Mm.
want to know about other people's companies, and I want to know about them and how long they've been doing business and where they live and do they have kids. So that's kind of my go-to. I'm like, okay, I have like a pocket in my brain of like questions to ask, and it makes me feel like I'm asking about them. They don't have to ask about me, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how I deal with that.
How can you help a business with that type of mindset?
There's so many ways. Um, I think it helps to come up with innovative ideas. I think it helps you think outside the box. And I think it also helps with implementing. So if I'm thinking of something, I can use the example of like fundraising. Like I was looking to fundraise and talk to investors. And I could have just said, like, oh, they would never talk to me, you know? But when I
Yeah.
was thinking about fundraising, I got to talk to a few investors and I've made friends with some investors. And what I'm doing, they love. Now I'm not looking for funding, but they're still in my world. So
Yeah.
it just like made me get into conversations with people that I probably would have never had conversations with.
Yeah. I feel like I've been getting into a lot of that because usually I would make friends with people younger than me, older than me, but the people that I've been connecting with, like, I would never have thought that I would connect with, and they've helped me so much too, and really, I just love it. It's
Yeah,
really
it's because you're
fun.
putting yourself out there.
Yeah, and it's really funny to be like, "Oh, yeah." I remember how I just walked up to them and was like, "Hey, I have a podcast." They're like, "How old are you?" "Well, so let's just say I'm younger than everybody here."
I love
And
it.
then
I love that
yeah,
though.
it's my favorite. And I love how I met you. It was because of your daughter, because she went over and she loved my stickers. I was like, "Here, you can
Hmm.
just have one."
I
She's
know. I
adorable
love
too.
that. Thank you. Thank you. She still talks about that. She's like, the market that we went to, can we go again? It's
Yeah,
so
I
cute.
love meeting kids at markets because 'cause they're so fun. They're really funny
They
too.
are. Hmm. I know. Well, she loved it. And the fact that you had stickers is what brought us over too. So it was perfect.
Yeah,
You made
I've
her
been
day.
really wanting stickers. My friend made them for me, and I was like, "Yay,
Yeah, they're so pretty.
thank you." I'll have to tell her. How do small businesses get more customers through tough financial season? Will an abundant mindset help? Or
I think an abundant mindset will help. However, I think that the biggest thing that you need to do is keep going and don't change your product or your service based on financial situations. Because I heard something one time that kind of resonated with me, and they said, don't put yourself in other people's wallets. So a lot of people say like, oh, well, they can't afford that, or they're like not able to buy my products now. And you don't know, you know, they're going to Starbucks every single day and spending
yeah,
$5 to $8 on a coffee. So they can afford your services. They may not want to. So I think that just by continuing and talking to people and continue to make those relationships when your business is maybe in a low, that's when you dive really deep into community. And that's when you start to build those relationships. So when the economy goes up and the financial situation of people go up, they're ready to purchase your products, your services, and you're always top of mind because you've been in their world when everything was going great and when everything was not going as well.
yeah, and that's so true. And I think that is a bucket of wisdom. So, should we compete as businesses with each other or build community?
I mean, always build community. I am a part of other female communities.
Yeah.
I have my own. I also pay to be in some. And I've met the most incredible women through these other communities that I've done. I also know people who have boutiques that are friends with other boutique owners and have built community, because when the problems as a business owner that Sophia goes through are different than the business problems that I go through. However, if you have friends that own a very similar business to you, you guys can talk to each other. You guys can help solve each other's problems and you guys can grow together. And that's the beauty of community, where there's no competition, there's just collaboration opportunities and growth opportunities for everyone. So I definitely do not believe in competition. I definitely believe in community. There's ideas that I have taken from other communities that I've been in, and there's other businesses that have taken ideas of what I'm doing and implemented it into their business. And I think that's great. The more positivity that can come from collaboration, the more the women that I'm trying to serve benefit. So if they're doing something that benefits the women that I'm trying to serve, I am so happy. So looking
Yeah.
at it that way and really building community and friendships with people, even in the same industry, is so beneficial for everyone.
Yeah. So, how do you stay away from the lacking mindset?
Kind of like what I was saying before, where I put blinders on and I don't really interact with people that put me in that space. Um, I really try to surround myself with positivity and women who try to uplift. However, there is a caveat because, like I said, sometimes we just get into that point, as
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, it happens a lot. I was actually listening to a podcast today about abundant mindsets. And I was like, I do have enough. The person who was hosting, it was a one-off podcast. I'll have to look it up and let you know. But he was saying, he's like, you have everything right now that you need to succeed. And it's
Yeah.
just that reminder to tell yourself that, like, I have everything right now that I need to succeed. Like, that's obvious, right? And so repeating that over and over to myself as I'm like putting my baby to sleep, I'm like, I have everything I need. So sometimes that's what it takes. Other times I have a group of like 3 girlfriends who are also entrepreneurs. They do events, they have communities. And sometimes it's just being able to like vent to people who
Yeah.
understand. Like that helps me a lot. And I think that just helps in general with anything that you're going through. Sometimes just nice to talk to people who understand. Um, so that helps. Talking to my husband always helps me get out of that funk because he's like the number one cheerleader I have. So I'm very lucky for that. So that's kind of what I do. I lean into my community, I lean into my husband, I lean into myself and the amazing community that I've built, and I just keep pushing.
Yeah. What would you say the difference between an abundant mindset and a lack mindset is?
So one is that what you have and what you're going to have is going to be absolutely incredible, and you're going to get everything you want because you are able to get that. And the other one is there's not enough to go around. I don't have enough. I'm not going to succeed. And it's so negative. Um, I think leaning more towards the positive, obviously, is much more beneficial. Um, but it's inevitable to have a little bit of both. But just really trying to focus when you are in that lacking mindset of trying to switch. Could even be the little things, like, oh, I have an
Yeah.
iPhone. I have a computer to do this Zoom with you, you know?
Yeah.
I'm able to like put this beautiful wallpaper up. Like that's cool, That's amazing for me. Um, I'm able to put a healthy baby to sleep. Like that is huge for me. So really
Yeah.
thinking, and I do this during journaling too. I remember this time my husband was gone for work for like 6 weeks, and I was in this like
Wow.
very difficult place. I was also very pregnant, and I had 2 little kids that I had to take care of.
Yeah.
And I was very emotional, and I was sad, and I was like frustrated. So I brought my girls to my parents' house, and I went to the beach, and I just sat like on the sand, listening to the water. And I made 2 lists. The first list, I made a list of everything that I was frustrated about. And I said, frustrated about this and X, Y, and Z. And I just wrote it. And then I looked at it and I read it and I crumpled it up. And then I made another list of everything that I was grateful for. And that list is what I remember, and that list is what I folded and I put in my wallet, so that
Yeah.
anytime I went back to that place, I could just pull out the list and say, like, I'm so grateful for this. So we go through both, but I think it's important to sit in with that, frustration and that sadness and that lacking mindset sometimes. And that's okay to have that, but just always revert back to having that positivity, that abundant mindset, and just remember
Yeah.
that that's what you have. And you're so lucky to have that, and just move forward in that sense.
Yeah. I think that is I really like that idea, and I'm definitely going to use that because that is very smart and it's very truthful too. Because once we see what we've been struggling in, I feel like it's easier to see what we've also been thriving in.
Mhm.
I feel like that
Yes,
brings
absolutely.
it out of us.
Yeah.
So,
I like to think of like there is a lifeguard tower in Newport Beach that I used to sit on, like even in like college 20 years ago. And I like to call it my therapist, because I would just go and sit on lifeguard tower. I think it was 62. And I would just like sit on lifeguard tower 62 and just like take in the ocean breeze and the salty air and just like breathe. And that's my place. And
yeah,
I think people just need to find like where they feel the best, and where they can finally just like take a deep breath and soak in everything and say, okay, I'm ready to move forward. But just like live in those emotions for a little bit and understand that it's okay to be in those emotions, and then move on.
yeah. So, how do I set my business apart from the others?
So you obviously are the thing that sets it apart. Um, I think that the biggest thing that you can do is ask people what they want. So a lot of times entrepreneurs build their businesses and they continue to build their business based on what they want. And that's great in the beginning. But when you're trying to grow, the best way to do that is by asking the people that are in your community what they want. So you could even do like Instagram stories and say,
Yeah,
do you guys like necklaces or rings? Do you guys want sweaters or puffer vests? And just like
yeah,
ask people what they want. And that's the best way, because the most important thing when it comes to building community is to make your audience feel seen and heard. So if you're talking to your customers and you're asking them, what do you guys want? Like, what can I bring more
yeah,
of in spring of 2024 for you? What jewelry do you want? Like, what are you thinking about? What are you like loving these days? And I think that's the best way to set yourself apart, because if you ask me, I'm like, oh my gosh, Sophia cares what I want. Like, that's so cool.
yeah,
I bought a ring from her before, but I would love that she's asking what I want, because she cares about me.
mhm,
And so that's how you set yourself apart in any business. Um, it just really matters how you connect with your audience, how you connect with your customers and talk to them. I think that's the one thing that people miss so often is they don't talk to their customers, and they're there for you, right? You're building that
yeah.
community on Instagram through your podcast. So just talk to them and ask, and that'll set you apart.
Does your mindset like affect your house and your business?
It does. I had, it's kind of like the same time that I went to the beach and I had my
Hmm.
brain dump. Um, I was so stressed with work and everything.
Yeah.
I started to like see something in my eye. Like it looked like a flash. You know how when you take a picture and there's like a flash and like that light kind of stays in your eye? But that
Yeah.
happened to me. I'm like, what is going on with my eye? And so I went to the eye doctor and he's like, are you stressed? I'm like, yeah, I'm like kind of stressed. He's like, the back of your eye is starting to leak fluid
Wow.
because of stress. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, and I was probably 9 months pregnant at this point. I'm like, okay, well, I need
Yeah.
to chill and I need to do some like mindset shifts and relax and breathe and either meditate or close my computer at a certain time or just work on the fact that everything will work out as it's planned to
Yeah.
and just take that in. So, yes, it 100% does affect me, like my physical health, my mental health. I will say this though, that I used to work out every single day.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get more into that slowly but surely. And I've seen that when I'm there, things just go away. I'm
Yeah.
like me, my workout, and I'm happier. Things just make sense when I work out. So figuring out like what works for me is, or what works for you is the way to go about fixing that. And I realized like, okay, I can't let this keep happening. This is not good.
Yeah.
So unfortunately it took something like that for me to realize that, but yes, it absolutely does.
Where can you learn more about an abundant mindset?
I would listen to podcasts and different types of podcasts. So a lot of people have like spiritual podcasts when it comes to abundance. Some people have more strategy business podcasts when it comes to abundance. Some have just lifestyle podcast episodes when it comes to abundance. And I would just take a listen to all of them and
Yeah.
pick what you want. And that goes with anything when it comes to business. So many people have an opinion, I guess, when it comes to everything, right? Life and business, that listen to everything and kind of take what you want from people and how it serves you. But podcast is a great resource.
Yay. I'm glad. Well, thank you so very much for being on the show. I have learned so much and constantly taking notes this whole entire time. I really love the wisdom you poured on, and I really hope we can connect even more through next year too, which is super
Yes.
exciting.
Thank you so much for having me. I love talking to you. So I wish you all the best. And thank you so
Yes,
much
you
again.
too. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Okay, I just stopped the recording.
Okay.